Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. In this new video about Diablo 4 we will keep talking about the Necromancer, and we're gonna go back to the Blood Necromancer build. After I have spent many more hours playing with it, testing, practicing and learning about the game and the character, I will be more specific in the video about everything. What I think is the best choices to build it, tips and tricks to play it, Paragon points and much more. So without any further delay, let's dive into it. Before show you how to choose the gear for our Blood Necromancer, I need you to understand the damage calculation theory in Diablo 4. I will explain it super quickly and easy. Basically, we have groups of damage bonuses as you see. One group, for example, is all the kinds of critical damage versus close enemies, critical damage versus stun enemies, critical damage versus healthy enemies, and so on. So, what happens if we have different bonuses from the same group? If we look at example number 1, all of them calculate the bonus damage from the base damage of our skill. Let's say our skill from the minimum and maximum damage that can deal rolls 1000. So, as you see, each bonus will calculate their percentage from that 1000 damage and add it to the final damage, becoming 2000 damage. But if the bonuses are from different groups, as you see in the example number 2, the bonuses will calculate their damage bonus percentage from the result after we added the damage from other bonuses. It doesn't matter the order of the calculations, as you know the order doesn't change the final result. So it's the same if the game calculates the critical damage first, then it's added to the total damage, and then calculate the bonus skill damage percentage from the result, or vice versa. The final damage would be always 2250. So as you see, choose our gear damage bonuses from different groups of damage will increase our final damage a lot compared to have bonuses from the same groups. So knowing this, which damage bonuses are interesting for our Blood Necromancer and how many from different groups can we use? Here you can see all the damage bonuses that we can get with the Necromancer divided in damage groups. Now I will just leave the ones that are interesting for our blood build. When I choose my gear, I try to get bonuses that don't rely in any conditions. For example, that don't rely in if the enemy is close or is far. So I rather to get critical damage than critical damage versus far enemies, or core skill damage instead of damage versus healthy enemies. So now I will just leave my favorite damage bonuses for my gear and remove the rest. We need to remember that our passives in the skill tree that grant bonus damage are multipliers, so like they are each in another damage group, meaning that it's so worth to get skill ranks in our gear for the skills of our build. And to finish this part, I will show you what would be for me the perfect gear for my Blood Necromancer and what I am trying to get in the game as final build. As you can see, my weapon choice is a two-handed sword, because the weapon passive is critical damage, and for the scythe is heal a certain amount when you kill an enemy, and I like much more the sword passive bonus. Now about the skill points, I have made a few changes since the first video. To start, we will learn Hemorrhage. This skill makes the enemies drop blood orbs when we attack them, increasing our damage and healing us when we pick them up, and doing that our basic attack becomes an AoE and regenerate more essence than usually. And with the Initiates Hemorrhage add-on becomes our main skill to increase our fortification. When we are fortified, we deal a lot of more damage and we get a bonus damage reduction. Because all of that, this skill is so important. Moving on to the next group of skills, we will learn Blood Lance, our single target skill, and the add-on Supernatural Blood Lance that makes it deal overpowered hits every 8 uses of the skill. In the same section we will learn Blood Surge. This skill deals more damage and heals us as more enemies are around when we cast it. This is the skill that we will use when we need to clean big packs of monsters. And this is different from my first video because we will choose the add-on Paranormal Blood Surge, as I realized that I clean much faster and I deal more damage with this option, as in the end game there is a lot of big packs of monsters to clean to deal with elites ASAP. Now we're gonna learn the two passives Unliving Energy and Imperfectly Balanced. We don't have much problem with our essence if we play this class correctly, and as I showed you before, these damage bonuses are multipliers, so they are so important. Next up, we will put 1 point in Blood Mist. This skill is purely just to let us escape from dangerous situations, like when we get stuck between a lot of monsters or when we get frozen or stunned. Then, in the next group of skills, we will pick up Death's Embrace and Death's Reach. The damage bonuses are multipliers, and also we get damage reduction. Now again something different from my first video. I have swapped my Blood Golem for the Crepify, but you can try both options. The Crepify gives me 20% damage reduction, 5% more than the Golem, slow the enemies, and with the amplified damage passive next to it, I deal 10% more damage, and as you know, it's a multiplier. And the Golem in the end game content, it dies so quickly all the time, because we don't have HP and defense bonuses for it. The bad side is that I need to spend essence to cast it, and I need to remember to do it, but once you get used to it, I think it's the best choice. In the next skill group, we will learn all the blood-related passives, as they are damage multipliers, but not the one to heal our minions, and only 1 point in the passive that increase our healing, because we don't have problems with the healing thanks to the Blood Orbs, Blood Surge, and all the bonuses from the Paragon. Now we don't have any more points in our Golem Mastery, because we spend them somewhere else and we don't use the Blood Golem anymore. We'll learn Bonus Storm, as I explained in the first video. I find it much better than Blood Wave, because it deals a lot of damage but also grants us 20% critical rate chance and 15% damage reduction, so help us to deal a lot of damage while we take less than ever. It's like an all-in-one skill. Now Standalone grants us 2% more damage reduction without the Golem. And Memento Mori, that I forgot to mention in the first video, increase all our bonuses from the Book of Death, as we don't have any minion. And to finish, obviously, Razma's Vigor. I want to say that I have tested and tried to get somehow any vulnerable effect into the build using bonus skills to get another group of damage, but it's impossible and doesn't work in any way, as one bonus skill or even two, it just makes vulnerable randomly some monsters for a few seconds, and we will need to sacrifice a lot of our overpowered damage or other important and easier to get damage bonuses for vulnerable damage. And we don't get neither that kind of damage from our Paragon boards. Now let's go with our Book of the Dead. For our Skeleton Warriors, we will choose the 15% increased resistances from the defenders. We don't deal shadow damage, so the bonus from the Reapers is useless, but if you want or you need, you can choose the 5% critical strike chance from the skirmishers. In our Skeletal Mages, we will choose the bonus Skeletal Mages Sacrifice bonus for a 40% more overpowered damage. The other two are not really interesting comparing with this for our build. And the last, our Golem Sacrifice bonus. I have chosen the 30% increased critical damage from the Iron Golem. You need to think that all of these bonuses are 60% increase thanks to the passive Memento Mori from our skill tree. We continue our trip through the Blood Necromancer build, now with the Paragon points. I will show you my setup and what I think and I felt is the best. So everyone starts in the same board, and I have moved through it to get the rare nodes. Then I have added this glyph mainly for the 10% damage reduction versus close enemies, but also the bonus damage versus close enemies is very good. The next board I added on the top is Bloodbath. Here we have many interesting notes for our build. You can check how I have spent the points to get the most interesting ones, spending just the necessary amount. And my glyph choice is Essence, giving us a big amount of overpower bonus, and I didn't even finish it yet. The next board is Blood Begets Blood. Here you can check again how I have spent the points in the board. And my glyph choice is Dominate, more overpower bonus. I have calculated my next move and my final build. I will move through the left side to get the legendary node and the rare node on the top, because cost less points than from the right side, and I will attach another board on the top gate. And that's gonna be Scent of Death. The legendary bonus is great, and it's gonna be active always one way or another, and the rest of the bonuses like critical damage, HP or damage to healthy or injured enemies are good as well. Anyway, there is no many options for our build in the Paragon boards, because the rest is for minion or shadow builds. To finish the video, I will show you some tips and tricks through this gameplay while I was doing a dungeon. The first, as you can see, is that I use basic attacks almost after every skill to keep my essence up, or at least have always one skill available. The second trick is something so useful that I do a lot. When there is one enemy alone or left from a pack that I killed, I use it while I keep moving forward to regenerate mana with my basic attacks. You can see all the time how I don't stop to use basic attacks between skills. Another trick. Now check out how many times I target the lead with my Blood Lance and I use it in another enemy afterwards, as Blood Lance is dealing damage to both of them and dealing extra damage to the first target for each enemy impaled after it. Look here how the elite dies after being impaled and hitting another enemy with the Blood Lance. And the last trick is remember to keep an eye as much as you can in your overpower Ratsma's Vigor passive. When reach 15 points we have a guarantee overpower attack. So don't waste essence to don't kill enemies to finally overkill them with this, wasting more essence than the necessary. Yeah, I am just rushing and I don't care or I forgot while recording the video, but trust me, it's so important many times to do it properly. And that was everything for now. I hope everyone liked the video. Subscribe if you can to support my channel and keep busy those demons and your characters alive. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.